Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be having a look at the program AYCD OneClick. Now, I do have AutoSolve in this program as well, however we'll be looking at that in another video. We're just going to be focusing on the OneClick element today. So this video is really aimed at beginner botters, where I was one day and I wanted to really have this guide, so that's why I'm making it. This is essentially telling you about the program, what it does, and some little tips and tricks that are advised. So if you're an experienced botter, which most people watching my channel really are, to laugh at me, and fair enough, this video probably isn't for you, but we're just going to go through it and explain what it does and things that can affect Google accounts and some general tips. First of all, I'm not an expert. You can probably tell by my videos. I make mistakes. I'm not the best. But this is really just what I know, and I'm going to be taking you through the program and just showing you what does what. So first of all, this program is designed to improve your Google accounts and make Google trust you more. This is going to improve your captcha score, essentially, which makes captchas easier for you and improves the chance of a one-click. Now, one-click, as the program's called, AYCD OneClick, makes the checkout process on sites that have captchas much faster, which increases the chance of you getting the product. So this is really essential for a lot of botters. Most botters, really, whether it's Supreme to Shopify, they're the two big ones. You need this program. As you can see, this is the accounts tab. So as you can see here, you have the name of the account, which will be blurred out because I don't really want you seeing my Gmail accounts. Also, use the proxy tab. Don't want you seeing my proxies either. Action log. So this is the status of that task, essentially. It's saying whether it's what it's actually doing, whether it's surfing the web, watching YouTube videos, looking at the news. You also have account status, just saying whether it's good or not. Now, enabled. This is whether it is used by the program when you start or not. So yeah, if you just want to disable some accounts, run certain accounts, you can. Now, one-click. As you can see, all of mine say no. However, we will test mine later in the video, and hopefully they will all have a one-click, but we will see. We also have score. So this is your captcha score. So yeah, you want this to be 0.9 essentially, and you also have solved, but this is for AutoSolve. So here are the actions. This is where you can press the play button essentially, and as you see, I'm running this account with no proxy here, and the action log is starting, and it is running a Google search. So we can stop it by pressing this button here, or we can click the eye, and we can actually watch what it's doing. So yeah, it is just generally browsing the internet, so we can close off that. So yeah, that's pretty much the dashboard. There's some really cool features though up here in account tools. So this is perfect for someone who lives in Europe like me, where raffles are huge, way bigger than in the US. Pretty much everything is raffled, and you need a lot of Gmails or emails. I have an Outlook generator that I use, and I have around 300 Outlook accounts. However, this is used for Gmail, so if you want to set up email forwarding, password change, recovery email change, really perfect. I'm not going to go into depth on these because these are quite complicated and very specific. Not actually of how to use it, they're really simple to use, but of requirements, you can very easily get accounts banned. Email forwarding, you want to be very specific. You need to be very careful because you don't want to get a brand new Gmail account and get a bunch of accounts forwarding to it, or a new account forwarding to something else straight away. You kind of want to warm them up a bit, because otherwise it looks very suspicious to Google if a new account's instantly forwarding. It makes it look like it's not used and they can't trust it. And it will most likely get clipped, it will get banned, and it won't work, which you don't want. You want every account to work perfectly, because either you bought Gmails or you made Gmails, and yeah, you don't want them not working. This is very useful though if once you've warmed them and you do want to set up forwarding. It's really helpful and stops you from having to pay for other forwarding tools. So here you can edit the columns and kind of make your dashboard of accounts here nicer. So let's say you wanted to disable whether they were enabled or not, or the score or the actions, you can do that here. Obviously you can start all or stop on start selected. So let's say you only wanted to start 3 here, you could go here and start selected and they would all start up. And then you can also stop the selected, which I'm going to do. Now, assigning proxies are a very big thing. Now, Google, from a kind of trust point of view, because that's what it's all about, it's about whether Google trusts you or not. They actually look at the quality of internet or quality of IP or network service over the quality of your account. Now, this is very important because proxies are a huge thing in this. So despite how old your Google account is, how much activity is on there, the network you run it on is very, very significant. So as you probably know, there are two different types of proxies. You have Resi proxies and DC proxies. When running this program, you really want to be running DCs because they don't have a data limit, and unless you have thousands of gigabytes or hundreds of gigabytes of Resi proxies, you want to be running DC. It makes sense, they're quicker. Although speed doesn't really matter, but you just don't want that data limit, otherwise that's going to be eating your Resi data. Now with Google accounts, you can get away with a 1 proxy for 2 accounts ratio. That works about fine, but obviously a 1-to-1 proxy ratio to accounts is recommended. Now this is all part of improving your Captcha score essentially. So some things you can do to improve your Captcha score is avoid over testing. So in the options tab here, you can go to test reCAPTCHA of all or selected. Now, basically you don't want to over test your proxies. If you're testing them every 24 hours, if you're testing them right before a drop, this is something you really don't want to do. And when I say right before a drop, I mean like 5 minutes before. Don't want to over test them. They kind of have this one-click ability. You can use that up and then they get suspicious. You want to hold back, but you do want to test. Now, you want to test around every 2 days. That is the recommended amount because it does generate some human activity doing a captcha. So it's quite good for Google, but you don't want to over test it because that's when they get suspicious. It's all about trust between Google and your accounts and really your IP and your proxy. Now, another thing is where your accounts are from, whether you generated them yourself using a reliable SIM card, phone verified account, PVA, or whether you bought them off someone. Not that that can make a difference, but definitely where they're from, the phone numbers they use, that can all have a significant impact on the account kind of reliability, the Captcha score, and at the end of the day, whether they'll get a 1-click or not. But yeah, mostly it comes down to taking care of IPs, and this is why you have something called Captcha Proxies. Now, there's loads of services that do this. Obviously, I have my proxy sponsors. All their links will be in the description. Proxy captchas, you can really find them anywhere. There's loads available. I would recommend using mine because obviously I have the discount codes and that helps me out a lot. Captcha proxies they're normally just private subnets or kind of a private group of proxies that a provider will give you, and it's just to run just for essentially this program. There's I think 2 other 1-click programs, but this is kind of the flagship, the best one. They don't advise using these proxies as well in your bot when running for drops as well. You really want your Google account proxies just to be used for your Google account, but this is if you really want to maximize the chance of 1-clicks and you're really focusing on it, which a lot of people do. It's a very good thing to focus on. When running, I'm going to start all my tasks here, and you will see a few of them say scheduled when they log in, and they won't actually run. Now, you'll also see them when they're running, they'll take breaks. So some people will see this and they want their account to run more. They want their account to be running as long as possible, creating as much human behavior as possible, so they will stop it and start it again. Now, this isn't advised because the reason they have breaks is to generate human behavior. If you're constantly running 24 hours a day, that does look suspicious if you think about it. So you kind of want to let AYCD do its thing when it comes to this. They basically know better than you. They've done lots of testing. You can trust them. So yeah, your Google account reliability really comes down to the age, the IP, and the network source. Something else that can affect it is whether it's 2-factor authenticated. That increases the trust. It makes it look like a more legitimate account as well. So if we have a look here, I'm actually going to test my accounts right now. So they've been running for literally like 30 seconds, a minute if that. So I'm going to stop them here, and I'm gonna test reCAPTCHA for all of them. Now this might not be a good idea, but I just want to do it for the video. So these 3 types of proxies here that you can see, you have reCAPTCHA V2 checkbox, reCAPTCHA V2 invisible, and reCAPTCHA V3 score. So reCAPTCHA V2 is normally used at the checkout/shipping page of, I want to say normally Shopify sites, and it's the kind of most used captcha, especially for people in the US. V2 invisible is used on sites like Supreme. It's nowhere near used as much as the reCAPTCHA V2 checkbox captcha. The other one is CAPTCHA V3. Now this is a bit of a weird one. No one really knows how this works. It's really almost I want to say a back-end captcha. It's not really a physical thing, but it can affect the way a web page kind of treats you, I want to say. Splash websites commonly use this, such as Adidas and Yeezy Supply, and that's why you need good Google accounts if you want to get through them, because that can increase your score because they use V3. I'm going to be running V2 Invisible because this is the one, because when I do slots for Supreme, this is the one that I'm really using for my Google account. So we're going to have a little look at how I do. So they'll all start up their browser and they'll kind of go through this little spasmy thing of checking. So it is running. As you can see, it's looking good so far. We've had all one-click successes. Obviously, if I'm doing a video on it, I want my Google accounts to be alright. So they advise you to really run this on a server and leave it in the back. I don't, but it's because I don't need it that badly. I'm not going crazy on Supreme, but definitely if you're running Shopify regularly, mainly if you're in the USA, I would recommend putting this on a server, getting Captcha proxies and really putting them in there. Right now, if I go to my proxies tab, where you can see the different categories here, this is if you have different types of proxies. I'm just running proxy centered DCs. And as you can see, if I test them, I've got some pretty good speeds. This is just running on my home internet, which isn't too great. I think they're decent speeds. So there we go. If you look there, we have all one-click success. That's good, but that's only V2 invisible. So it's not super impressive, but there we go. That's all one-clicks. You can also have different categories of accounts here. Here's the accounts that my friends made, and these are the accounts that I've made. So that's just a good way of kind of splitting them up, especially if you have loads. So to create an account, you go File, Create, and you can put in everything here. You can choose a category it goes in. You can write something in and make your own. But yeah, email, password, security, answer, and recovery email. These last two aren't necessary. This can help just store information on there, especially, again, if you're entering raffles. And it's just good information to have on there, but especially if it's 2FA, you need the security answer. You can put on Data Saver, which won't use as much data, but I don't know why you'd really be using that if you're on Captcha proxies or DCs. You can have a custom schedule. This is where you can see you can really make it perfect, but I don't use that. I just let AYCD do it for me because they're the experts at this. And you can also have advanced settings where you can basically choose what it runs. Now, I don't do this. I go to my settings tab. So as you can see, this is my settings tab. I've got everything ticked because that's what they recommend. I'm a pretty basic guy. I'm not going to custom set it up. I'm going to let AYCD, the guys who know what they're doing, set it up for me. So yeah, we also have the sleep accounts. So I don't live in any of these places. I live in Europe. That's why I've got that ticked. That will make it sleep, although I turn my computer off, so it sleeps naturally. I just let it run in the background when I'm at school. So yeah, you also have webhook. So there we go. This is all quite basic. This is auto solve. I will go into this in another thing. This is different to OneClick. However, it's kind of in the same program. Now, that's pretty much it. There's a few more things that I haven't mentioned here and there. However, generally, that is the whole thing. It's quite complicated, and I haven't explained it perfectly, but that's kind of the setup. It's all about how much do Google trust you. If there's anything I've missed, please put it in the comments, and please be sure to correct me on anything I've said. Yeah, be sure to like the video if it did help. Now, if you are interested in getting this program for yourself, be sure to use the code GINGER on screen right now. This is something AYCD have given me. Obviously, AYCD have given me this code, and I'm very thankful. This will get you a discount, and yeah, it's a really necessary program that you kind of need when botting. So yeah, this should help some of you out, and thank you very much for watching.